You think it's just hair, don't you? Just strands, just something that grows and falls, something you cut, comb, wash, color, and forget about. But it's not that simple. Your hair carries stories you don't even notice. Every lock, every strand is a record of where you've been, what you've endured, the days you wanted to hide, the nights you wanted to be seen. It's the crown you never asked for, but one you wear every single day. You think stories are only written in books, carved into stone, or whispered in songs. But the truth is, your story is already hanging off your head, dangling in strands that most people overlook. Hair isn't just something that grows. It's something that records. Like the rings in a tree trunk. Every inch carries a timeline, a silent journal of who you've been and what you've gone through. People pass you by and think they see just a hairstyle, just a color, just a length, but no, they're seeing chapters, some of which even you've forgotten. That curl, that wave, that strand. It's been with you through tears, through laughter, through sleepless nights, and long days that blurred into one another. Hair is a living archive of your chaos, your struggles, and your triumphs. It's funny, isn't it? How hair grows without you telling it to, like it has a will of its own. You cut it, it grows back. You burn it, it remembers. You change it, and yet it insists on being part of your identity, whether you want it or not. And when people see it, they're not just seeing hair. They're reading you like a book you didn't mean to publish. That time you chopped it all off because you were done being the same person. That wasn't just scissors. That was a scream. That night you dyed it because you couldn't stand the reflection staring back at you. That wasn't vanity. That was rebellion. Every decision you made with your hair was a confession, whether you spoke it out loud or not. People like to think they understand you, but most of them only look at your surface. They don't hear your thoughts. They don't live your nights. But they catch the signals you didn't mean to send. Your hair becomes their first impression, their uninvited entry point into your world. They see messy and think careless. They see neat and think controlled. They see wild and think untamed. They see shaved and think defiant. They build entire stories about you based on the strands that frame your face. And the cruel irony is, sometimes they're right. Because your hair has been telling on you the whole time. And it's not just about the present. It's about the past. Your hair remembers things you don't talk about. The fingers that ran through it when you felt safe. The fists that grabbed it when life wasn't so kind. The hours you spent in front of a mirror trying to tame it, trying to change it, trying to figure out if altering the outside could fix what was broken inside. It remembers the days you didn't care and let it fall where it wanted, and the days you cared too much, spending hours just to make it look acceptable to the world. Hair is memory made visible. It's proof of survival, proof of change, proof that you've been moving, growing, evolving, even when you felt stuck. And here's the twisted part. Your hair doesn't just tell your story. It tells their story too. The people who've touched it, judged it, admired it, mocked it. They've all left fingerprints in the narrative. Someone loved it, someone hated it, someone envied it, someone wished they had it, someone told you to change it, someone told you never to. Each opinion, each touch, each comment got woven into the way you see yourself when you look in the mirror. Your hair became a battlefield where the world's expectations and your own identity collided. And you thought it was just hair. But nothing about it is just. It's the crown you didn't choose but can never take off. It's the flag you wave, even when you're silent. It's the journal that records every season of your life without asking for your permission. You might ignore it, but the world doesn't. They're reading it. They're interpreting it. They're hearing the story your hair is telling, whether you open your mouth or not. And if you stop long enough to really think about it, you'll realize your hair has been the loudest storyteller you've ever had. Screaming truths you didn't even know you were ready to admit. Every style you've worn was more than fashion, more than a whim, more than a way to fit in or stand out. It was a declaration, loud and unapologetic, even when you didn't mean for it to be. You see, hair is one of those things you can't hide. Change it and people notice instantly. Keep it the same and people notice that too. Either way, it speaks before you ever get the chance to open your mouth. That cut, that color, that curl or straight line, it's your identity announcing itself, whether you wanted the world to know or not. Think back to the times you decided to try something new. Maybe you chopped it short, sharp, and bold. Did you notice how people suddenly treated you differently? Some called it brave. Some called it reckless. Some couldn't stop staring, and some couldn't stop whispering. That wasn't just about hair. It was about you daring to rewrite the story they thought they already knew. It was about sending a message. I'm not who I was yesterday. Every style is a shift in narrative, a new chapter, a different angle of the same character. And when you made those changes, whether you admitted it or not, you were telling the world, watch closely. I'm evolving. And even when you didn't change it, when you kept it long, neat, untouched, do you know what that said? It told the world you valued tradition, or stability, or maybe safety. Maybe it said, you didn't want to draw attention. Or maybe it said, you wanted to keep a part of yourself the same, no matter how much everything else changed. People saw that and built their own story about you, because every strand is a statement. They saw structure, or discipline, or resistance to change. You weren't just wearing hair, you were wearing identity. And the funny thing is, people caught it without you ever explaining. It's wild, isn't it? How society ties so much meaning to it. Women cutting it short, it's rebellion, they say. Men growing it long, it's defiance, they say. Dye it neon, it's freedom. Shave it all off, it's power or maybe pain. Every twist, every braid, every wave, every lock, they all scream something louder than your own words. Even silence becomes noise when it comes to hair. Let it grow wild, and people will say you've let yourself go. Or maybe you've set yourself free. tame it into perfection. And they'll say you crave control, or maybe you're suffocating under expectations. No matter what you choose, it's a declaration stamped onto your very head, broadcasted whether you agree or not. And deep down, you know it. That's why it matters to you more than you let on. That's why a bad haircut feels like the end of the world. Why changing color feels like a rebirth. Why running your fingers through it in frustration feels like tearing at your very soul. You know it's tied to who you are. You know it reflects what you're going through. You've seen how people's eyes change when you change it. Suddenly they see someone bolder, sharper, freer, wilder. They don't just see hair, they see you differently. That's why you can't pretend it's just style. Style is language. Hair is a dialect of identity, one of the most visible ones you own. The truth is, your hair has been declaring your identity your whole life. As a child, it showed innocence, vulnerability, the raw version of you. As you grew older, it morphed with your choices, your phases, your mistakes, your courage. Each phase of your life had its hair to match, whether you realized it or not. You can look at old pictures and instantly know what season you were in, what mood carried you, what identity you were trying to live in. It's the constant witness, the one accessory you never took off, the one crown you couldn't avoid wearing. So when you think of your hair as just hair, remember this. Every time you touched it, changed it, hid it, revealed it, you were making a declaration. You were announcing to the world, this is me right now. This is what I feel. This is what I want you to see. And maybe the most unsettling part, even when you tried to stay silent, your hair spoke anyway, telling truths you didn't dare to say out loud. Change in hair is never just about the strands. It's about the soul screaming for air. You see, people don't wake up one day and decide to chop it all off or dye it a color the world can't ignore for no reason. There's always something deeper clawing at them. Pain, rebirth, freedom, anger, growth. Hair becomes the battlefield where those feelings show themselves. When life pushes you to the edge, when you've been beaten down, when the old version of you feels like a coffin, the scissors become a weapon, the dye becomes war paint, and suddenly, what looks like just a style change is really your identity cracking open and demanding to be seen. Think about the times you've seen someone walk in with hair so different you almost didn't recognize them. That wasn't just about looks. It was about transformation. Something inside them shifted. A heartbreak, a breakthrough, a loss, a victory. Whatever it was, it forced them to shed the old version of themselves. Cutting hair is like cutting ties with what no longer belongs. Growing it out is like reclaiming power that was once stolen. Changing the color is like painting over scars the world never bothered to see. Every change is loaded with a truth the voice couldn't carry, but the strands could. And people notice. Oh, they always notice. The ones who whisper about how drastic it is, the ones who say you've lost it, the ones who say you've never looked better. They're all reacting to the declaration you just made without words. They see that something in you has shifted, and it unsettles them. Because when you change your hair, you're not just altering appearance. You're altering perception. You're forcing them to meet a version of you they weren't prepared for. And sometimes that shock is the point. Sometimes the change is the warning. Sometimes it's the invitation. Sometimes it's the liberation. But it's not only about rebellion. It's about survival. Because when you're drowning, when you feel invisible, when you're stuck in cycles that crush you, sometimes changing your hair feels like grabbing hold of something you can control. Life might steal everything from you, but those strands, those are yours. And when you reshape them, you're declaring to yourself and everyone else, I'm still here. I still get to decide who I am. I still have power. That's why change in hair feels like therapy. Why it feels like a restart button. Why it can shake you awake when nothing else can. And yet, there's fear in it too. Because when you change your hair, you're also killing off the old reflection in the mirror. That reflection carried all your past, all your memories, all the versions of you that didn't survive. Letting go of that isn't easy. It feels like betrayal sometimes, as if you're burying someone who lived in those strands. But isn't that the beauty of it? Hair grows back. It reminds you that nothing is final. That no matter how many times you shed, you'll always have another chance to rewrite, to reshape, to redefine. Hair grows, just like you do. And if you look closely, you'll notice this truth. Every major turning point in your life probably had a change in your hair attached to it. The time you lost love, the time you found courage, the time you broke free, the time you didn't care what anyone thought anymore. Your hair has always carried those moments, loud and proud, whether the world understood it or not. It was never just strands. It was identity in motion, shifting, growing, breaking, healing. Every snip, every dye, every choice was a declaration. I refuse to stay the same. So when hair changes, it's not vanity, it's confession. It's the rawest form of telling the world, I've been hurt, I've been reborn, I've been changed. And you might think people only see the outside, but deep down, they feel the shift. They can sense the story written in the newness. And isn't that the real power? Hair gives you a way to announce the revolution inside without ever having to say a word. People notice your hair before they notice your eyes, before they hear your voice, before they even decide if they're going to listen to a single word you say. That crown sitting on your head becomes the first chapter they read about you, whether you wrote it or not. They don't ask questions. They don't wait for explanations. They assume. They build their judgments like scaffolding around your hair, and from there, they decide who you are. It's the cruel comedy of perception. The world doesn't see you. It sees the signals you didn't even know you were sending. Messy hair. They say you're careless, lazy, maybe lost. But what if that mess came from nights of sleepless battles, from giving your energy to survival instead of appearances? Neat hair, polished and perfect. They say you're disciplined, serious, maybe even cold. But what if that order is the mask you wear to keep people from seeing the chaos behind your eyes? Long and flowing. They think freedom, sensuality, wild spirit. But maybe you've just been too tired, too distracted, too unwilling to cut away what's familiar. Shaved down to nothing. They say rebellion, power, confidence. But what if it's the aftermath of pain, the release of weight you couldn't carry anymore? The point is, people judge, and they judge fast. They don't wait to understand the story. They fill in the blanks themselves. Your hair becomes their shortcut to defining you, a visual label they slap on without hesitation. And the sickest part, once they decide, they treat you accordingly. Walk in with a bold new style, and suddenly they speak to you differently. Look at you differently, value you differently. The same person, the same soul, the same heart, yet treated as someone entirely new. All because the strands on your head changed their script. It's almost laughable how much weight people give to what they see. They don't realize that your hair is just the mask you let them interpret. They think they've figured you out, but all they've really done is expose their own bias. Because hair doesn't define you. It reflects you. It carries hints of who you are, whispers of what you're going through, shadows of what you've endured. But it's not the whole truth. It's only the cover of the book, and most people never bother to read past the first page. And yet, you can use that. That judgment, that instant categorization, it can become your weapon. If people are going to decide who you are based on your hair, then why not choose the version you want them to meet? Why not let the crown on your head broadcast the identity you're ready to step into? They think they're seeing you, but really, they're seeing the version you've chosen to reveal. That's power. That's control. That's turning their shallow judgment into your stage. But don't get it twisted. It cuts both ways. If you let the world's opinions define you, if you let their whispers about your hair dictate how you feel about yourself, you've already lost. Because then your identity becomes a puppet pulled by the strings of their approval or disapproval. And you weren't made for that. You weren't meant to let other people's first impressions chain you down. Your hair is not their canvas. It's yours. Their judgment is just noise, and if you let it, that noise will drown out the truth of who you are. Still, it's hard to ignore, isn't it? Hard not to notice the shift in the room when you walk in with something new. Hard not to feel the stares, the comments, the laughter, the praise. It all piles up, reminding you that whether you like it or not, your hair is a signal, and signals get read. Sometimes wrongly, sometimes harshly, sometimes in ways that sting more than you'd ever admit. And yet, beneath all of it, the power remains with you. Because as much as they judge, as much as they label, as much as they assume, they're reacting to a choice you made, not one they did. That's the twisted beauty of it. People will always judge your crown before your face, but they're only reading the story you've chosen to write in those strands. They think they know you, but they're really just audience members staring at the costume, not the soul wearing it. And while they keep judging the cover, you're the one holding the pen, deciding how the rest of the story unfolds. Hair has memory, whether you realize it or not. It's not just dead strands hanging off your head. It's a living archive of where you've been, what you've carried, who you've let close enough to touch you. Every lock is a string tied to a moment, and even if you don't think about it, your hair remembers. The way someone once ran their fingers through it when they said they loved you. The way you pulled at it when your mind felt like it was tearing apart. The way you cut it off after something broke inside you. Each strand is a reminder, a witness to the story you've lived. Think about the times you've stood in front of a mirror, staring at yourself, knowing you weren't really staring at the hair. You were staring at the memories stitched into it. You knew that cutting it meant letting go of someone who was still lingering in your reflection. You knew that dying it meant covering up the person you used to be, trying to bury their ghost under a brighter shade. You knew that keeping it, the same meant clinging to something familiar, because the world around you was shifting too fast. And you weren't ready to lose one more piece of yourself. That's not vanity. That's memory management. The kind that sits heavy on your shoulders. And the strangest part, hair grows whether you want it to or not. It keeps moving forward, even when you're stuck in the past. That's why it feels strange sometimes when you run your fingers through it. You're touching the present, but you're also brushing through months, years of silent history. The tips carry the weight of old seasons. The roots carry the freshness of new beginnings, and together, they remind you that you're always living in two timelines at once. The you who was and the you who is. But it's not only your memory, it's the memory of everyone else, too. People remember how your hair looked when they met you, when they fell for you, when they hurt you, when they left you. Your hair becomes a trigger in their minds, the same way a song or a scent can rip open old wounds. They might not admit it, but they remember you not just by your face, but by the way your hair framed it. It's part of their memory, just as much as yours, and that's why when you change it, it unsettles them. Because when you change your hair, you rewrite the version of you they've been holding on to. You steal their memory and replace it with something new, and whether they like it or not, they have to accept that the person they thought they knew doesn't exist in the same way anymore. And isn't that the cruel beauty of it? Hair reminds you of the past, but it also gives you the power to redefine the future. It carries the fingerprints of every hand that touched it, every moment that scarred it, but it also grows fresh, untouched, unmarked. You can't erase the memories that linger in the strands, but you can always create new ones. That's why people cling to it. That's why it matters so much, even when they pretend it doesn't. Because deep down, they know their hair has been the silent witness to every season of their life. The one thing that's been with them through every rise and fall. It's the reason why letting someone touch your hair feels intimate, even dangerous. Because they're not just touching fibers. They're touching your history. They're brushing against the weight of your memories, whether they understand it or not. And when you pull your hair back, hide it, cover it, it's not just about appearance. It's about protecting something sacred, something too personal to share with eyes that don't deserve to see it. Your hair is personal, not because it's pretty, but because it remembers more about you than you sometimes want to face. So when you run your hands through your hair, when you stand in front of the mirror, when you think about changing it or keeping it the same, you're not just dealing with a style. You're dealing with memory. You're holding a timeline. You're touching every version of yourself that's ever lived, every moment that's shaped you. Every person who's tried to leave their mark on you. And whether you realize it or not, your hair has been keeping score. It's funny how the loudest things are the ones that never make a sound. Your hair doesn't talk, doesn't shout, doesn't scream, but it speaks louder than most of the words that have ever come out of your mouth. You walk into a room, and before you even breathe, people already know something about you. They catch the signal. Maybe it's wild and untamed, sending a message that you don't care what they think. Maybe it's sharp and styled, telling them you've got control, or at least you want them to